Did you know that some of the top Amazon sellers don't even pack a single box, don't check their email, or buy their own products? And the craziest part is that many of them had started solo just like me or you. So in this video, I'm going to share actionable steps that are broken into 4 parts so that way you can start to outsource and automate your Amazon FBA business even if you are just getting started. So if you didn't know, I started selling on Amazon FBA in 2021, where I started doing it as a part-time side hustle because I had a full-time job, selling cars in Range Rover down in Miami. So that's kind of how I got started as a solo side hustle. And obviously fast forward to now, many years later, I've learned how to grow the business, doing it full-time, and I've hired help basically to help me outsource or automate my business. And throughout that time, I've sold over $2 million in total sales. And you might be in the same situation. And when I started, I was pretty much doing everything. I was packing, I was spending tons of hours finding leads online. Then I gotta drop all the products down to UPS, then to send it to Amazon. So basically at the end of the day, you are a one-man job wearing multiple hats, and it can potentially lead to burnout. And you find yourself like, is this what business is supposed to look like? Because at the end of the day, if you're trying to build a business, the ideal is like, for example, look at a business franchise like McDonald's or Starbucks. They can open up multiple restaurants or stores because they have a system in place where they can pretty much just hire anyone, train them, and can do the job whatever you put them in. So that's the idea. Once you start to grow the business, is to create, operations and procedures, so that way you can just hire anyone that can be able to fill in and do the job for your own business. So yeah, our goal is for us to have more free time and for you to run the business, and not the other way around, where the business is, running you, where you're doing everything for it, working everything you need to do for your business, whether it's someone's birthday or your kid's graduation or anything might be. The business should work around your life. And yes, it can be scary if you've never taken the step before, or if you've in your current place, if you've never have people working under you. It's definitely a learned skill, and guys, don't be intimidated. And for me, that was my experience, right? I've never had someone work under me, even in my regular 9-to-5 job. And going to the business, that was one of the scary thoughts. Like, I had all these questions like, oh, what if they messed up, or what if they lost inventory? A lot of those things are, we fear ahead of time, and it can cripple us to not do anything, right? We become paralyzed because all these thoughts that we have may never even happen in real life, but yet we worry about it. Guys, this is everyone's issue. So yeah, we just kind of have to do it, and the best way to do it is start small, then you kind of grow from there, or take bigger steps from where you originally was. Okay, so here are the couple things I would suggest to start outsourcing, whether you're just starting Amazon or kind of just been selling for a little bit and still haven't outsourced, right? So first is product sourcing. This is the majority of the time that takes a lot when you're an Amazon seller doing, wholesale or arbitrage, whether it's online or retail, I would say. But yeah, those things can be hard, and that is a product sourcer, because they can give you leads when you are not in the computer or not out there on the stores. Second is prepping and shipping. This is the second aspect of the business, which can take a lot of time, because at the end of the day, you want to make sure your products gets, packaged properly, goes to the right, stickers that matches it, and you want to make sure that everything is in compliance to what Amazon is asking. And that could be hard to let go, because when I started, I had my own way of packaging things, making sure that it won't get damaged during transit, and just make sure it gets to the customer in perfect condition. So that can be a little bit of a control issue, and that could be one of the things that you might not let go for a little bit. So yeah, we're definitely gonna learn how to do that down in this video. Another one is admin tasks. Admin tasks, think of like things that is just just there, but you kind of have to do it. It's not a priority, but you can't just ignore it as well. I'm talking about, you know, repricing, right? Like you can easily do this with software such as BeCool. That's the one I personally use. Another one you can do to outsource things for your, you know, bookkeeping or accounting could be using a software like QuickBooks, right? Everyone knows about QuickBooks, but that's the easiest way to do it since it tracks everything with your credit card. Another one is using Inventory Labs, which I've made a video about, you know, how I use it for my business. It has multiple usage. Another one is, you know, simply as putting your credit card payment in auto payment, right? Like instead of doing it manually month after month, you know, kind of like the same thing when you have Netflix or Spotify or Apple Music. A lot of those things, subscriptions, are automated. Why not automate your payments in terms of the credit cards? Because, you know, like me, I'm sure you have as well, you know, in the past, we might have forgotten a payment because it was not an auto payment, right? Like we missed it a day or two or something. Hopefully not your rent or mortgage, but yeah, get it automated. That's one of the easiest ways to not think about anything and just have it work for you. So yeah, those are common things that can be outsourced and automated for your own Amazon FBA business. The biggest one is to take little steps, then take bigger steps. Then eventually when you feel comfortable, you can start hiring actual employee for your business that can be working full time. All right, so let's talk about virtual assistants and where to find them. Nowadays, everything is pretty much a global marketplace. A lot of stuff can be, you know, hired from people, not just where you live, but overseas, right? This is just a global market, what it is. So a couple websites that can help you out is going to be, of course, Fiverr. You've heard of it. Upwork is another one. A really good one, if you really want a specific one, is onlinejobs.ph. That's how I found my employees in terms of my Amazon business, my video editor who's editing this video. And a lot of it are, you know, in the Philippines because A, they speak language and it's just a lot easier for communication in there, right? Like, of course, there's other countries out there such as India or Pakistan or, you know, other countries as well. But just in general, Philippines is one of the top countries that you can hire people and not worry about communication, especially if English is going to be the main language, you know. So, and in terms of culture, it's pretty much westernized to some point, which is good as well if you are, you know, in America, because there's not much, you know, barrier, right? A lot of things can be understood that way. So here's one right here of my old posting. So I just want to show you guys what it looks like on the screen here. So I'm onlinejobs.ph. This is the website right here. If you don't have an account, you simply just create one. Super easy. Then you start, you know, posting a job, right? So this is my posting job back in February of 2023, right? Salary here. Let's go over it. Okay, so this is the job overview in terms of the Amazon. Okay, so this is kind of like my job post, right? Feel free to copy or just kind of put your own twist to it. And basically, I kind of just give them an overview of what the job is of a product sourcer, because that was the job I was hiring. I wanted to have leads, help finding leads where, you know, if I am away on the computer, when I get back, I have something to purchase so the business continues, right? So this is kind of like what I have here, master product analysis using the different tools. And again, someone that you are looking to hire does not have to know, you know, Amazon. It would help if they do, but a lot of people are going to be applying will know some sort of Amazon thing, but you can always train them, right? Just like how you didn't know anything about Amazon before, you can train someone like how you've learned as well. And I think that's the best way, because they don't have any, you know, previous history. They're going to soak everything up as a sponge. So I prefer myself for someone that has little or no experience with Amazon, because I can really teach them how I run the business, right? That's what you want. You want someone to know your business. So yeah, this is basically what we're looking at right here. Then I break down the different salaries, what's possible out there, the different benefits, right? Then of course, how to apply. This is what we're looking at here. And for me, I just like to be personable as well, not just strictly someone that's just like, you know, robotic, because I do a lot of it. People I understand can, you know, send in a resume for just about anything. So you want to make sure you want to add some sort of questionnaire there, so that way if they don't answer, then you know that they weren't serious in the first place. And the last thing I want to give in terms of the virtual assistant and full-time employee is you are going to get a lot of applications, so definitely take your time interviewing and finding the right one. There's no rush with it. You want to make sure the vibe is good when you're speaking to someone, via Zoom or, however you do it online. Is you want to make sure you have a good feeling about the person and don't force anything, right? If you don't find the right one, just continue having the job posts out there and until you find the right person. And usually, once I hire someone, I like to give them about 3 months of trial period just to make sure everything goes well. And again, the biggest feedback that I get from people is like, oh, I don't want to hire someone full-time immediately. So that's the trial's purpose, is to 90 days just to make sure everything goes well. And again, it's not forever, right? You can always let go of someone if it doesn't work out. Of course, that's the last thing we want. But again, there's no big time commitment when you are doing this. All right, when it comes to finding prep center, finding the right one can definitely make a difference. I've been with my prep center for 3 years now. Everything has been going great. So how to get started if you've never used one before is to go to prepcenter.com, right? Then you find a prep center here. There's like a million of them out there. Of course, just like with anything, you want to do your due diligence. You don't want to just like go to book a hotel, right, without reading some reviews, or book a restaurant that you've never been. You want to make sure you get the reviews. People have talked about it and stuff like that. So it doesn't hurt to kind of look around the internet, see if they got reviews, call them up. That's the biggest test from my own experience, to see how they are. How's their customer service? Are they pretty, friendly, welcoming, informative? Are they hiding something? So that's the best way I've found. So just to call around. And my tip here is to stick to states that don't have any taxes. There's about 5 of them, right? Like New Hampshire is one of them, Montana, I think Oregon's another one. There's a couple more, I can't remember off the top of my head, but there's 5 total. Just Google it or ask ChatGPT. But anyway, look for those prep centers because they don't have any taxes. So yeah, start calling from there and narrow down which one would work for you. And if you do find one that you are pretty confident with, don't just send everything, right? Do little bit by little, just like how you're outsourcing. Send them, 50 quantity item, 100. Just see how fast they're doing it, how's their communication before you start sending more shipments and start to build that trust. By the way, guys, if you've been finding value in this video so far, make sure you hit the thumbs up button because it really helps out with the YouTube algorithm. And if you want to learn more about Amazon FBA, consider hitting the subscribe button. So once you hired one, congratulations. To the next step is to train the employee, the person, and your friend is going to be Loom. Is basically a recording software that records your computer, so you can have recording yourself and your screen at the same time. It's the best when you are trying to teach someone some sort of standard operating procedure, SOPs, to do certain things, so that way they can just refer to it, not just that person but future employees that you're going to hire. And the idea of it is just for you to do the task one time, so that way you can just send the link of the video and they can just pretty much watch it and learn how to do it. And I know I mentioned SOP, which is the standard operating procedures. Is basically kind of like, the Starbucks or McDonald's we had talked about. They have their own sets of procedures. So your business, you're gonna want something similar, so that way it's organized, it's structured. Because when I first started, I pretty much freeballed anything. I didn't know, right? And no one had taught me about this. I kind of had to learn. So you watching the video, hopefully you get something out of this that can help your business. So yeah, SOP is really important in that part, because ideally you can just put anyone or hire anyone, give them a set of the videos or trainings you do, then they are off to the races. Then you just do minor tweaks here and there, which leads us to continual growth for someone that you're hiring, is to do some weekly check-in or meeting with them and just constantly giving feedback, so that way they can know if they are on the right path, because you're the one that needs to set them up for success, right? We can't just put someone in there and expect them to succeed if we didn't put them on the right foot, right? We didn't give them the proper resources. So that's our job as the owner of the business, to kind of set the person that we hired into success. And a couple tools that I use for communication for my team is we use Discord. That's the #1 terms platform, how we, chat every single day or just communicate in general. Other ones is, I use Notion as well to just keep everything in terms of notes, or, other things that might be useful as well. I know a lot of people use Slack. That's another good one, but Discord is ours, and found it to be awesome, and doesn't cost anything. So this is a great question, when to know to outsource. There can be a guideline, but at the end of the day, you kind of have to know yourself or situation, because knowing what I know now, obviously, if I was to start Amazon FBA all over again, I have a full-time job working, right? So I have a constant salary, but what I didn't have is the time. Obviously I have the knowledge, because I'm transporting myself back, is I would hire a product sourcer full-time, so I have leads to purchase, and then I would be working with a prep center, so anything I buy, I send it to the prep center, right? That'd be the perfect ideal situation. And for you, it could be different, right? If you wanted to learn everything from scratch, you might not have as much capital. Well, then you have to do everything yourself, right? So that way you know the ins and outs of the business, which is a really good thing. Don't see it as like trying to shortcut anything, because that's how you really learn the business itself. But yeah, it's a rule of thumb. I would say if you are between $5,000 to $10,000 in total sales each month, then I would say, time for you to get a repricer, which products can get priced automatically. You can stay competitive. The Be Cool I use, that starts at $20. Then of course you can upgrade, so on. That's an easy one. You can even start using a prep center if you don't have the time, as I mentioned. That's another good way to do it. So yeah, those are a couple things. About $5,000 to $10,000 in total sales. It's a good kind of time to kind of start looking or dabbling in terms of outsourcing or to automate some part of your business. Then if you're doing, 20K, 30K, and you're ready to step into it full-time, dedicate more time, then I would start hiring, a full-time product sourcer employee for your business. So that way you have leads that you can purchase every day. You can hire someone to do that and just start to, scale your business a little bit, right? And guys, at the end of the day, outsourcing is a catchphrase, or automate is a catchphrase. There's no such thing as everything hands off or passive, right? That's how you get into these, scams that, automated, quote unquote, where people just ask for your money and expect for a passive return. You're gonna have to do some sort of work. And again, not everything could be outsourced, right? Or a smart way to outsource, because let's say your advantage for your business is you is really good at sourcing, then your person that you're hiring might not be as good. So then you're probably gonna wanna outsource other things like prepping or other part of the business. So you kind of have to think of what is your advantage for yourself, like what are you really good at, because chances are you're the best person to do that task, and it might not be a good idea to outsource it because they're not going to do as a good job as you are. But other things that are common is like packing, like that's a really easy job for someone to figure out, or a prep center, which is they do it professionally. So guys, hopefully that gave you an overview of what to outsource, how to automate your Amazon FBA business. Again, even if you are just getting started, or kind of start to grow it from there. And guys, thank you so much. If you want to learn how to start doing Amazon FBA wholesale, check this video out here. Thank you guys so much. Catch you in the next one. Peace.